Did you say valid salad?
Yeah.
I might steal it.
All right. So we back in the building, man.
Yep.
Episode 2, Worth Your Time podcast. Today's gonna be, a lot of game, a lot of insight, a lot of different ways to improve in a lot of different areas. Kind of to start off today. So can we dive into what is survival mode and how do you think survival mode has people um, affected in today's society?
Great question. I would say survival mode, a lot of people are living in, and they don't really know they're living in it. But to say what it is, in my opinion, really just when you live with your back against the wall, everything that you want to do is probably derived around something that has to happen today, tomorrow, maybe next week. Matter of fact, I know a lot of people who, if something doesn't happen today, then tomorrow's going to be way, way worse. So that creates that urgency to where, yeah, you're in survival mode because you got to make it happen, or something goes left, or something's not going to be what you want very, very soon. So that's the answer. But tell me more about, I forget the other part of the question I want to say.
To kind of touch on it, how does it affect, people in today's society? Because today's society is it's hard.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard. It's doable, but it's hard. It has to be played, a certain type of way. I was listening to The Word yesterday, and the pastor was talking about how Moses brought a bunch of people out of slavery, and after they got out of slavery, they was having a conversation about, because they didn't have much food, they didn't have as many resources, and they was talking about that they wanted to go back into slavery. And he touched on the fact that they had a scarcity mindset, and we come from slavery, and that scarcity mindset has been just continuously flowing throughout time, and we still live in that scarcity mindset today, even though that we have different circumstances, we have different information, we're still in that scarcity mindset. And one of the reasons why it's been so hard to get out of that scarcity mindset is because information has to get passed down. If the information doesn't get passed down, now, one, we don't know how we're supposed to maneuver in certain areas of life, but also we don't know what where our roots kind of came from and why that scarcity mindset is still in effect and how to get out of it. Given that that scarcity mindset in general, what do you think is something that a mindset that can get people out of that scarcity mindset, and in terms of faith, I guess, how does that help people maneuver from that scarcity mindset to that growth mindset?
Yeah, I like to call it the abundant mindset. And really, to dive deep, you got to think, you can either be one or the other. You really can't be both. So if you got the scarcity mindset, we all know what that means, right? So it's everything you have is everything you'll ever get. You hold on to everything. And let's just be honest. If we're talking financially, it's living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to save, and that touches on the part of the question where it's how can right now kind of thing, because the cost of living is going up. Wages really are not, and it's tough to make ends meet when all you have is a little bit of something, right? You don't have a lot of resources. So what happens is you kind of find yourself on this hamster wheel of, okay, you get paid, everything costs too much. Now you broke again, and you waiting to get paid again to then catch back up, or to do this or do that, and it's really hurting people in this situation, because you can't do any long-term planning. If you can't do any long-term planning, that's automatically going to set your future up to be something you don't want. The other thing is, if you can't do any long-term planning, then every single thing that pops up that's not actually something that you were expecting, it kind of seems like now that's an emergency, right? So just got out of a meeting where you hear about 3 out of 4 Americans can't afford $1,000 emergency. That's a real thing,
Seriously.
right? And then the thing about that is like, how can you get out of that? And it seems like you can't, but there's always a way. And you have to start with having that abundant mindset. And in my mind, you have to have the thought process of no matter what's happening now, first of all, somebody probably has it worse somewhere. You may not know them, you don't know where they are, but you never have it the worst in the world. Somebody's doing a lot worse than you are. So that helps kind of build a foundation to create that abundant mindset. The other thing is to be in that space of, okay, I'm living in abundance. You got to understand, what do I have? It's hard to think about, you know, what you have when you always think about what you lack. But if you stop and think like, okay, there's clothes on my back, a roof over my head, there's some food in the fridge.
Yep.
That is big, and we just take it for granted a lot.
I agree.
So, you know, if you start to kind of slow yourself down, no matter what you're going through, you think, okay, I'm not really happy with where I am, but there's somebody who may be burying a relative or going through something worse than me. And then you also think of like, okay, well, yeah, I don't really like the situation I'm in, but I got some shoes to put on my feet. I can go out into the world and present as something, and that will create some type of opportunity, right? And one of my mentors, he told me, he was like, "There's no such thing as good luck. Luck is where preparation and opportunity meet." And I live my life by that, because it's like, well, all I have to do is be prepared then, because the opportunities will come.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is, if you don't prepare, when those opportunities come, you miss them. And now you feel like you got bad luck. And it's like, that's not that. It was just, if you stay prepared, no matter what that may look like, you can actually create your own luck, right? And then the other side of it is like, all right, so we thinking of abundance. I would say we have an abundance of information right now in the world. It's so easy to learn things that you never could learn, and also it's so easy to understand things at a deeper level without having to go to college for it, going to some type of, you know, professional where you got to pay them a crazy hourly rate. Like, you can figure out almost anything you want for free. And I think what's happening now is, now that that's really prevalent, you now have to understand, how can I execute? Because you got all of this information on everything you want to do. Like, you could kind of work your way out of anything, but are you really going to do it? And I think that right now is the separator between the have and have-nots.
100%.
Right? So if you don't make enough money, you can find a way to make more money. And here's the other thing. Let's say you think money is your problem, and then you start making more of it, but you kind of have the same mindset of either scarcity, or you just are reckless with your finances. More money is not the solution.
Yeah.
It's creating a system, or, you know, at least having an idea of how I'm going to use the money as a tool. Because this is why you see people hit the lotto, go broke, because there was no system, there was no structure, and then people get a bunch of money, you think everything's good, and then things can actually get worse if you don't know what you're doing. And then, you know, there's kind of residual effects. So like, let's say you hit the lotto for $1 million, you don't really know what you're doing with the money, but hey, I got $1 million. First of all, you don't understand taxes. Probably gonna give about half of it back to taxes. Then you think of your immediate needs, you go tackle them. Then you think of your immediate wants. Matter of fact, some people probably think of the wants first. So,
Nah, for real.
right? So it's like, okay, bust down Rolly, I'm doing that. New Benz, Bentley, whatever, I'm doing that. Before you know it, the money is gone. And going back to what I just said about taxes, like, if you spent the money before you paid the taxes, now you are literally in the red. So you got all this stuff, but you got no money, and you've got no money, you can't use it as a tool to get more, right? So what happens is, it's like, that's how the money ends up not being the solution, but actually it becomes the problem. And just to kind of round out that example, now you could almost kind of grow a resentment against having money. You kind of want to stay broke, because it's like, when I did have money, everything went left, and that's even more crazy.
Yeah.
So
That's literally crazy.
yeah, but you feel me though, right? And I hope the people, you know, who view this, they can kind of understand where I'm coming from. But yeah, like, it's all about having the right mindset, and also understanding what you can do with what you have. I think if you keep it that simple, you should be fine. But those are the things people just overlook. This is not that important to them.
Because more money is not like, that's like you said, that's not the solution a lot of the times. Like,
Right.
what is it called? Lifestyle creep.
Lifestyle
you
creep.
get more money, you spend more money. So you in the same situation. It's really not the money. It's the, like you said, the systems, the
Right.
mindset, the habits, the knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, you don't know how to make your money work for you. If you don't know how to budget,
Exactly.
if you don't have a budgeting sheet to be able to budget, do it on your notes or something like that.
Exactly.
To kind of touch on what you said, like a lot of people have it worse. I've seen this example, and a guy said it was a guy in a Toyota looking at another guy in a Ferrari,
Mhm.
and the guy in the Toyota wanted the Ferrari. There's a guy on a bike looking at the guy in the Toyota,
Mhm.
wanted a Toyota, but he
I
had
feel
a
like
bike.
I saw this. Yep.
And then there was a dude walking, and he was like, "Dang, I wish I had a bike."
Yep.
There's a dude in a wheelchair looking at the dude walking, wishing that, "Dang, I wish I could walk."
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes, a lot of times, like you said, we not as grateful as we should be for what we do have.
Mhm.
And sometimes living paycheck to paycheck, we can be in that scarcity mindset, but we have to be in an abundance mindset regardless. Like, being broke in general
Mhm.
is a mindset. You're not broke.
Literally.
You just think you're broke.
Right.
We're all rich mentally.
Mhm.
Time just got to catch up.
Yeah.
And once time catches up, once we get that information and just start walking in that, and then also I know I keep on bringing up the word, but I learned something new yesterday, and
What's that?
it was talking about 10% giving.
Yeah.
And 10% giving, I'm like, I had no idea what that was. I've been looking into the Bible. I've been reading a lot of things. I'm like, 10% giving, and the pastor, like, he put it very simple. He was like, if I got $10, say God got $10, and He's giving you $10.
Mhm.
He gives you $1 for waking up. He gives you $1 for being able to go where you gotta go. $1 for His grace. Basically giving you $10. The Bible says that you're just supposed to give God $1 back,
Mhm.
and then He'll bless you. And that's the only time in the Bible where God said to test Him to see
Right.
what would happen.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't know about that, hence why that information is not being passed down. Like, this is things that, I should have known this. I'm 25. I never knew this. But I'm like, we don't know this because we got to pass that information down
Yeah.
and get out of that mindset.
You know what's funny? That's literally why we're doing the podcast now. It's just to pass the information, or hey, I learned this, I want to share it. Hey, I didn't know I needed to know this, but maybe somebody out there needs to hear it too. And to go deeper on what you just said, like, first of all, that is 100% true. And I think the premise is, if you try to keep everything, you won't get anything.
Yep.
That's right. Now, the other side of it is like, not sure if you or anybody who's going to view this has ever heard of the book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Mhm.
If you have not read that book, and yes, it's on YouTube, so you don't need to read it, that book will teach you everything you need to know about just kind of understanding the concept of how money is really a frequency. It's not really like money.
Right.
And in the story takes place in, like, I'm talking ancient times. And it still is prevalent today. Like the principles in the book are like, still have you like, wow, that's crazy. I
Even
never
the
knew
Bible.
that. Yeah. So here's the thing. The Richest Man in Babylon basically tells a story of how, a man was living in scarcity, and he just had to figure out, like, how am I doing this wrong? What am I doing wrong? And the first thing was, like, you need to invest or keep 1/10 of what you have, right? So $1 out of 10, it's the same thing, and that's in that book. And then the other thing is, like, kind of on the more like current side, like, we say that all the time, like, hey, you should probably be investing 10% of your income. But the point I'm making is, in the book, they basically show how you can live off of 9/10 of what it's not gonna make any difference. Like, if I had $10, 9 is still enough. But we don't think, if you're in a scarcity mindset, you'll never think like that. And also, if you're in a scarcity mindset, if you had $1 and you won't give up a dime, that shows you're in a scarcity mindset. But also, it's like, If you won't give up a dime out of $1, how would you ever give up $1 out of 10? You know what I mean? Or 100 out of 1,000. It just won't happen. And then what usually does happen is people think, oh, I'll do that when I get more money. And this is why the concept that they're trying to show is a percentage. It doesn't matter the amount. This is the percentage you should give. So anyway, in The Richest Man in Babylon, he basically became rich by understanding that I'm going to live off of 9/10 of what I have. So that 1/10 started to just do like this. It's just, and then after a while, it's like you will never be paycheck to paycheck or back against the wall if you have that 1/10 that has been stacked up, right? So I really think the premise is, yes, making sure we know about how to save and how to have a different mindset, but also the power of knowing, right? So like if you just never knew, that's not always your fault, but you lack a lot of power and you can't make informed decisions. You can't give advice really, because it's like you don't even have enough of the tools, right? But then when you start to really think and you want to be in that abundant state and you want to make sure that you don't go broke or whatever, you really do have to live off of 9/10 or 90% of what you have, because you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And you'll find a way to make more. That's the other thing that happened in the story. Like once you start to kind of maneuver and strategize, how can I use my, 9/10 of my pay, you find ways to make more. So it kind of starts to be, wow, this is attracting money. And that's something you probably wouldn't even, plan, but it ends up happening. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think that, it's something that I live by all the time, but like the more you give, the more you receive.
For sure.
There's like we tend to naturally, as human beings, we tend to be receivers naturally. That's just human nature. We tend to just want things for ourselves and want to be seen. That's natural, but like we have to switch that mindset over to become better givers. We should be giving. You know what I mean? Like that puts more. First of all, money in general. We speaking on a finance standpoint. Money has to flow. Like we have to put money into the economy for it to flow naturally. And wealth is a spiritual process. So people can literally be not broke because broke is a mindset. They can not have as much money as other people based off of how you approach money in general. It's really not even about money. Like money doesn't really have that, especially like physical cash. That don't even have value like that no more. So it's like, how are you developing yourself? Because if you develop yourself, money is gonna start to flow after that. Like it's gonna flow as you improve yourself, as you give more, as you learn more. And naturally, like the more what you put out into the world, like you're putting a frequency out into the world, that's naturally just gonna come back to you. It's like a revolving door. That's why people say karma is a B word. Because karma is real. Like if you put some negative energy out there, you make somebody feel a certain type of way, you put bad energy out, it's gonna come back to you. And you're never gonna know. Even in the Bible says if you spill somebody's blood, your blood is gonna be spilled by another human being. And it literally says that. Like it's gonna come back around. So if you're gonna put stuff out into the world, make sure you're putting out positivity into the world. Make sure you're giving, helping people in need, taking that 10% and continuously just taking the right steps so that you'll be good in the future. It's like we got to think about the future as we go, but like you said, it's a percentage, so it's not even like, oh, we got to give $100 every time. Whatever you got, 10% is gonna change. But if you start building up that habit and that mindset of giving 10%, it don't matter how much money you got, you still gonna give that 10% because you've developed that habit over time. To kind of like pivot a little bit in terms of like the economy, like what do you think is like some ways that the economy can just be more well off, like as people, especially like for our type of people, like what do you think are some things that our economy can start flowing a little bit better? Now I'll kind of like start it off a little bit too. I think 19 Keys said this actually. He said he's tired of coming from nothing. We have to start coming from something. Like if we started from nothing, now we started from scratch every single time.
Yeah.
But if we're doing the right steps and doing the right things, our kids, our grandkids should be coming from something, from us doing something correctly and passing down information.
Yeah.
And that passing down information has to be like huge, because if we don't know, we don't know.
So the answer, I don't know, because it's almost like you asked kind of like a two-part question, but I guess the answer could still wrap in as one. My thing is, go ahead, you could.
Somebody called me. All right, yeah, we valid.
So my thing when it comes to just our economy and how we can be better and how we can make sure we don't have to start from scratch every single time is literally the knowledge. Now, what I wanted to say as like an extra little added piece of an answer to the last thing still applies now. I live my life by a quote. It's actually Pharrell's quote. Wealth is a product of the mind, not the pocket. If you really sit and stew and think about that, that's so true. Now, what I'm saying to even like make that real clear, wealth is a product of the mind, not the pocket. Now, we hear generational wealth a lot, right? And you think, oh, I'm gonna get life insurance, that's generational wealth. No, it is not. As a matter of fact, generational wealth is not really about money or how much, it's about the knowledge. And that goes back to one of my favorite recent books is What Would the Rockefellers Do, and how they basically showed the Rockefeller family versus the Vanderbilts, and how the Rockefeller family literally took the money that they had and said, okay, first of all, we're gonna make sure we don't lose it, but also we're gonna teach every family member how we create money, so that after granddad dies and dad dies and then the son is now a granddad, it just keeps going. If your family, my family, and every family in the planet had life insurance but no knowledge, every time somebody died, it would be a huge party because there's a lot of money coming in. But then what happens is that money goes right back into the economy if there's no plan for it. So let's just say I have a life insurance policy to cover me and my family. I never teach my sons anything about money. They're gonna get that money and squander it every time. And this is how you end up starting from scratch. And let alone if there was no life insurance, that's already how we start from scratch, because there's nothing left, right? So here's the other thing. Let's think about, okay, no matter what amount of money I have, no matter if I'm rich or poor, whatever, I'm gonna make sure I teach what I know, and I'm gonna also intentionally learn how to create more money, how to be better, how to be a better budgeter, how to be a better investor, how to just, make my money work for me. If I can learn that, I will be more confident in teaching that. And if I'm talking about intentionally, not just, oh, okay, I'm gonna make sure I learn what I need to learn, and I'm also gonna make sure I teach who I need to teach. And I'm gonna teach them, you have to keep it going. Because if I taught my sons, hey, this is how you do this, and they never taught theirs, okay, that grandkid is starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So that is real deep. But what I'm saying to you is, what we need to pass on is the knowledge. What we need to acquire is the knowledge, and what we need to really kind of perpetuate is the fact that you don't have to start over if we do this, and if you don't do it, you're forced to start over. So hopefully that answers the question, but I could talk for a week straight about all of that.
Definitely. I think a big part of that is somebody has to, I was talking to my friend about this the other day, I'm like, somebody got to be the black sheep in the family, somebody. Because a lot of people are, starting from scratch. So somebody has to be willing to learn the information and be open to giving the information. But the people that's receiving the information, they got to be open to receiving the information.
Yeah.
If they're not open to receiving the information, then it's like you're closing yourself off. Now we can't do what we're intended to do,
exactly.
Which is gonna make everybody's
what
lives
God
better.
wanted us to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
we're intending to make the whole family, even the economy, we're making all of this better if everybody is open to receiving the information and trying to understand what's going on, but also put themselves in a position to where now when we have kids, they are aware of what's going on. Because I don't think people really understand. So just to touch on like kids in general, I don't think people understand where a kid is coming from. Like when a kid comes into the world, first of all,
that's it.
We all know that this world is a crazy place.
Mm-hmm.
But a kid's mindset coming into the world is like, yo, like, what even is this place? They don't know what the place is. They don't know how they're supposed to eat. They don't know what is gonna get you these certain things. Like, they don't know how time works. They have to be told that information so that they can be aware. Like, if a child is told, oh, this is how we got to where we are. This is how we eat. This is why we eat this way. This is who this person is. This is why, like, even like basic stuff like folding clothes, taking out the trash. Like, yo, if we don't do that, then the house is gonna smell like trash. We're gonna be building up trash. That's why we take the trash out. And it's so important to understand a child's perspective, because now if we give them that information, like I say this all the time, like people think I'm joking, but like my children are gonna know financial literacy at like the age of like 5. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like they're gonna know. They're gonna know how money works before they even know what money is.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's super important, because now they're coming into, even they're starting from something. They know what money is.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you they know what money is before all of their peers at school. You know, and we can't just let kids go into the world blind. We have to give them that guidance. Like people kind of, people talk to their kids with the goo gaga stuff. But like if you talk to the child like a person, they may not like fully understand, but they're gonna internalize. Like that information goes to their subconscious minds, whether we know it or not. But I feel like that's super important, and it really does start with the kids. And I mean, it start with us too, because I mean, now we in a position to where we're like the next generation of people, of humanity.
This generation,
Yeah, so it's like we're that generation. So how are we gonna change, our generation and the generation that comes after us? Because the generation that comes after us, they next in line.
Yeah.
And we got YNs and all of this distraction on social media. So like this time right here is so important. And I feel like a lot of people are like, they playing with their time. Like you don't know when you're gonna know. You can't play with time. Like it's really, we got work to do, because it's so messed up right now. People start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
We still living paycheck to paycheck. We've been out of slavery for years now. We should be in a position to where, and it's a lot of people doing great things. I feel like it's just a lot of people that's still caught in that cycle.
Let me touch on the fact that like you're right. A lot of people are, stuck in that cycle, and I'm at a point, like, think about it. You 25, I'm gonna be 35 next month. I'm at a point where it's like, I'm gonna make sure that, come on in, bro. You sit right there. I'm at a point where it's like, I'm gonna make sure that I can help the people who want to be helped. But if you don't want to be helped, I can't convince you of anything. Like I can't beg you to want the knowledge. And here's what I think is gonna happen. I'm gonna focus on the people who do want to learn. I'm gonna help them and give them the best I can give them. But the people who don't, or the people who might laugh, like they think it's funny that you want to teach your kids about financial literacy, that's not the people for you. It's just it is what it is. And I think what happens is we want to help everybody, but then we get frustrated when it doesn't work. But it's like everybody's not meant to be helped. So like I said, like at this point in my life, if you don't want to be helped, that's cool. I'll dap you up. I'll give you the head nod. But it's like I'm not about to chase you to help you.
Facts.
If
that's
you
real.
Right, if you really think about it, like if you want help, then you will first of all make it very easy to find me, right? And you will approach me. But if I approach you and try to help you, and you kind of like, I'm not going back after that. It's okay. That's cool. Because guess what? I still tried. You probably got my number, email, or you can find me on any social media, and you can reach back out when you're ready, because sometimes people have to do things when they're ready, and sometimes people get ready and it's too late. But if I could focus my energy and use my time correctly, I'll help the people who are already ready to be helped, and then we go from there, So
that's very important, because I ain't gonna lie, I've definitely been in that situation a couple times where try to help somebody and they don't want to be helped, try to set somebody up, try to put somebody in position, try to give them some money making opportunities, and
I've been there
people
too.
don't take it. I'm like, dang, I ain't gonna lie, I'm over here trying to help. Am I doing too much? Like, I don't know. But I feel like that's, being receptive to information and actually wanting to, improve. Some people love where they at, even if it's not the best position, they love where they are. But
Yeah.
we like you said, we got work to do.
Yeah, we do. And let me one more last thing. One thing I always think about my mom. She make a joke about how she was like, everybody don't want to be rich and famous. Like when I was younger, I thought that was everybody. She said, no, some people happy with, an orange soda and a cigarette. I just laugh about it, but it's like that's true. Some people will sit on the porch every day of their life. That's what they do. Cool. But you know what? I started to think about. That's how you know the difference between me and that person. Because if there was no difference, then it's like none of this would matter anyway, right? Like so, she was like, "Look, it ain't for everybody. It's not supposed. Everything ain't for everybody. That's just the way life is."
Facts.
Once I actually thought about how true that is, I said, "All right, bet. I'm not even. That's just how I'm gonna live my life. Like that's just what it is." So,
Seriously. I
yeah.
think, I guess to kind of wrap things up, what is some, words of motivation for this episode specifically,
Mhm.
but also things that people just need to hear?
I would say first word of, or really I could kind of just recap what we went over. First off, wealth is a product of the mind, not the pocket. So it doesn't matter how much money you have. You really have to pour into yourself and intentionally learn as much as you can. The other thing is, in this day and age, there's too many ways to make money to be broke. That's just, and broke in the mindset, but also broke in the pocket. Like, you've never seen this many ways to make some money. So you got to figure out what works for you and execute, right? So, and then when it comes to motivation, it's always somebody got it worse than you. Don't really matter what's going on. You could be about to be evicted. There's somebody who's been homeless for years. Like, there's someone worse off than you. So pick yourself up, get to work, find a way to make some money, but also find a way to make yourself more valuable to where money will start to be attracted to you. Because if you don't have any value, you don't really do anything to help anybody, it's really, really hard to make money, first of all. And then the other thing is, okay, as you learn how to become more valuable and as you learn what works for you to generate more income, you'll also learn, okay, I was living off of less, so living off of 9/10 of what I have is not crazy, right? And then also, I guess kind of to round out everything, what you learn should be something that you want to pass on. There's too many people out here weaponizing their knowledge and using it against people, or, gatekeeping and, okay, I know this, but I want to make sure you know a little less. To me, that's the corniest kind of person. Like, I would, anybody I come in contact with, I want to help them, but also if you surpass me, I feel like we won. Not, I shouldn't have told him that because now he's better off than me. That's just the worst way to think. That's actually scarcity mindset right there. So yeah, that's my couple answers.
And you actually gave me this idea too. Some people can take everything from you, but they can't take your knowledge or your information. So hope y'all was able to get some good insight, some good knowledge. This only episode 2. Next week, 11:30, Monday.
This episode would have been longer, but I got somebody I got to help right here. So catch y'all later.
33 minutes.
Appreciate it. Oh, what up?